Hey, good morning, Chicago. I want to welcome you to Chicago Speaks with Lori Elise. I'm so excited. This is our premiere show. Um, just talking about a little bit of everything. We're talking about Chicago news, local news, national news, global news. Just what's going on in Chicago as it relates to Chicago. So even though we'll talk a little bit about what's happening nationally, we want you to chime in on how you feel about it locally, because what's going on is happening to everybody. The music that you heard as our lead in, we're showcasing a local artist, a local band actually, the brothers Anthony and Brandon Stevens. They're from the group Unclassified Trio, young brothers. They're in their 20s doing it. Got a mixture of jazz and rap that's on this particular single, which is called Growing Pains. And I thought, you know what, this is a fantastic, not only a fantastic song, but a fantastic title, because that's what Chicago's going through right now. We're going through growing pains. There's communities that were fantastic, and go back to Black Renaissance in Chicago, that you had the Seaway Bank and grocery stores owned by African Americans. Our dollar would go through the community and then some, instead of just we receive the money and it goes out of the community and it's not circulated. And so there's just so many wonderful pearls about Chicago that I want to bring light to. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to talk about or dismiss the difficult challenges that are happening here in Chicago. There's so many challenges. Our young people, our youth are being shot down daily. We have a criminal justice system, or we have police who, I believe, there's a good amount of police who really have our best interests at heart. But then I think also that there are some people who really need to be in touch with the community. Maybe if you're a police officer and you're coming to those CAPS meetings, if you're meeting those parents, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to pull the trigger on that 17-year-old, on that 14-year-old who might have just been reaching for his comb, might have just been reaching for some candy in his pocket, that could be alive today that's not here right now. And so we're going to talk about these kind of issues. We've got a wonderful guest that's going to be with us today, Mr. Elliot Hitchcock. And, I'm just so excited. This is a brother with purpose, a brother with means who wants to help you to get to your means as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about what Elliot has to offer. And I'm just so excited that he's here. He's, got a lot of claim to fame. And so we'll kind of talk about that. And our show, we're going to talk about, like I said, the local issues. We'll talk about national issues. We have a segment that's called What's Good in the Hood. And that's what we're going to lead in with today. And going from there, we'll talk about boss businesses. That's when we're really going to bring in Mr. Elliot Hitchcock, because we want to have representation of some boss businesses. What are you doing? We're not just talking about how to get ahead. We're talking about we're living it. We're breathing it. So I'm going to start off with something that, some of you might have heard about, might have been talking about. It was something that definitely sparked my interest. And that is Mr. Chance the Rapper. Actually, I want to, I think I have his full name here, which of course I can't find it right in front of me, but I believe it's Chancellor, which I just thought that was, what a cool name. And, this is a young man who's hit the scene and just has been remarkable to me from what I understand. And I'm still learning. I've got adult children around his age, but what I'm still, it's Chancellor Bennett. That's what I've just been told. So, I'm kind of have a pulse on the music, but my kids really kind of helped me with that pulse. But what I really appreciate about Chance, even before this recent recognition, is the fact that he was willing to kind of be a trailblazer. You know, everybody's getting their record deals in this way and that way. And, you know, you hear all these crazy stories about, you know, how the music industry is not fair and not everybody's treated fair. And, you know, this young man blazed a trail of his own. He said, you know, I'm going to release my own mixtapes. I'm going to get my music out my way. And not only that, you know, I've got a relative who always says, you know, when you have a business, unless you make it pay, it's a hobby. So he would always tell me, make it pay. And so Chance the rapper, Chance made it pay. And not only, and here's what's fantastic about this young man, not only did he make it pay for himself, but he made it pay for the Chicago public schools. Now, you know what's going on with the crazy Chicago public schools. You know, and I shouldn't call it crazy because the Chicago public schools, the people who are working there, the teachers who are putting in their time and effort, it's a thankless job. You know, some teachers have literally been attacked, you know, by students. They are doing their very best for not the best pay. So that's a challenge within itself. But when you add on top of those challenges, the fact that there's not enough funding, the fact that there's politicians who are holding our kids' futures hostage because they're not willing to come to terms to get money where it needs to go. That's a problem. That's a problem. And that's a problem that everyone's talking about. Everyone's talking about it, but where are the solutions? You know, because on this show, we're going to have people call in. We're hoping to hear from you. But we're putting a little switch on it. We're putting a little change on it. Instead of just calling in, you got to be solution oriented. We need you to think. We want to hear what's on your mind. How would you handle some of these problems? Because that's what Chance did. He went and met with the governor. You know, I've been reading about this. You know, I try to do my research, and you know, he went and met with the governor. And though it sounds like there was a meeting of the minds, you know, it just it didn't bring the fruit that he was looking for. He didn't get an automatic voice or sound or hearing of change. And so this young man reached into his own pockets and donated $1 million to the Chicago public schools. And not only that, he had certain monies earmarked for schools that may or may not have gotten noticed. So let's say there's money, someone gets and donates money to Chicago public schools. Maybe some of those districts that really don't need the help financially, maybe they end up getting the funding. Well, what I appreciate about Chance is he said, you know what, listen, not only am I going to give money, but I'm going to say, listen, this is where you need to make this money work. And he's taken time and, you know, really visited different schools. I just think it's phenomenal. But here's the controversy. You know, I read recently the article that was in the Sun-Times by Miss Mary Mitchell. And first, let me just say this. I don't know much about Mary Mitchell, but what I can say is that I've heard that she has been writing for the Sun-Times for a very long time. So I'm actually happy and proud anytime an African American has made it through, you know, the difficult things that we have to go through sometimes in order to become successful. We may not have gone to the same caliber schools that some other people have gone to, but yet we've made it. And so Mary is one of those people who have made it. But I got a bone to pick because right out the gate, as I'm reading this article, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, this is Chance the Rapper, grew up in West Chatham. I read about his a little bit about his past. His father, I'm told, works with Rahm Emanuel's administration. This is the same man who also worked with Harold Washington administration, according to what I've read. So you've got, you know, someone who, you know, was raised by, you know, one of the great pioneers. And he's, you know, grown up in West Chatham, which Chatham, I think, is a beautiful community that was, a safe haven and a beautiful place to raise children, which now unfortunately also has violence as well. So you got a young man who's made it through, went to a great college prep, Jones College Prep, and he's done something good. And so the lead in with this story was speaking about how she hopes that his child support issues won't put a dimmer or diminish what he's doing. So here's what I'm asking Intellectual Radio. Why did she have to lead in with that? How about this is a young Black man who has beat the odds, beat the music system to a degree, figured out a way to make money on his own, has some spare $1 million to donate to the Chicago public schools. How about we start with that? Because in so many instances, and I'm sure this is in Chicago, but it could be, across the nation. There's so many instances where our beautiful young Black men are marginalized. They're told what they can and cannot do. Prisons are built based off of where these young people rank in 4th and 5th grades. If they feel like you're not going to make it by 4th and 5th grades, they're building prisons based off of that. A young man, I got to find his name, wrote an essay about that recently. Just the fact that the pipeline from schools to prisons. So this young man has made a difference, and that's your lead in, something about child support. And here's what was really cool that I just thought was fantastic was his response. I kind of caught, and it was brief, it was short to the point. That's how I like to handle things. When people are not the nicest that they can be, I don't want to go to their level. I'm going to kill you with kindness, or I'm going to keep it moving. And one of the things that he said was he actually did, it looked like a quick Instagram. I don't have Instagram. I guess I need to go ahead and get Instagram. But it was a quick little clip with him, the mother of his child, and his child all looking happy. And basically said, hey, listen, focus on your job. I'm focused on mine. Focus on your job. He said a little bit something else about sometimes after that. I'm not going to repeat that. But what I'm trying to say is, what a classy response. What a classy response to someone who really didn't quite understand how to convey a message of promise, a message of even gratitude, to say, hey, thanks. I know it's a $24 million deficit, but now it's a $23 million deficit because of Chance the Rapper. I love you, Chance. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Matter of fact, I think you might have been around for some things going on with Urban Prep. My son is a graduate of Urban Prep, very proud of that. And so, I'm just so grateful. So, if you get a chance, if you take a listen to this show, come holler at me. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad that you made it to What's Good in the Hood segment, because we're going to be highlighting many, many more situations just like yours. People who maybe they don't have $1 million, but they got $1 million heart. They got $1 million smile. They're bringing joy and hope to somebody in the community. Maybe it's your teacher, maybe it's your minister, maybe it's your friend, maybe it's your husband, maybe it's your wife. How about shout out to marriage? That's a tough job. How about that? So we want to celebrate who you are, Chicago. We want to talk about what we have to offer, Chicago, because it's so much. We are a rich community. We are a rich people. Whether you live south side, north side, east side, west side, we are one. We built this city together. And some of this, the building happened on the backs of our African-American brothers and sisters. So, it's not that I'm not going to speak about everybody, but hey, I grew up Black. I am Black. So, I can speak about my own. You want to speak about who you are, you come on this show, we'll let you speak too. But we are I just want to also say, all the time. I'm so happy to be a part of the Intellectual Radio family. This is day one, y'all. I'm excited. I'm pumped. We got so much coming at you. We got more of Elliot Hitchcock that's going to come your way, talking about financial literacy and how to make ends meet and how to do well for your future. We got, Ron Baker Jr., famous comedian, has been on a little bit of everything, opens up for everybody. We're going to have him coming on next week. We're going to have, local personalities who can really, talk about, I may talk about Chicago from my point of view, but, am I in the thick of it? We're going to be on the phone with the plug. You're going to meet the plug. I'm going to tell you who the plug is next time you get here. You're going to be plugged in. Going to be on the phone with the plug. Yes. Yes. If you don't know, you will know. So I'm so excited. This is Lori Elise. Our show is Chicago Speaks with Lori Elise on IntellectualRadio.com. I want you all to take another listen to our brothers. Their beautiful music. Growing Pains. Anthony and Brandon, we see you. This is our Growing Pains. IntellectualRadio.com.
Say why you do this to me. I'm growing older and realizing what life is doing. I came from the dirt, I'm straight off the boat. A new style, some new chains so I can boast. A new whip to make sure I move right. Mama, I made it, I swear that your boy gon' be tight. And we might face some problems growing up where I'm from. The 216, get Roddy saying who want this? He from the sun, I'm from the land with a dirt and the rust in the tub. One of the flashy things for CEOs ain't giving no love. Let me be chill. Skin the color of the savior, going through his adversity. Flash that's knives, crucifixion is hurting me. Bring out the worst in me, not so easy today. Growing up like I am, you learn from your pains. Pain is a form of art, and I'm using my art to write this. I'm talking pencil in hand till it cramps like it's arthritis. Who would have thought I would fight this? Feeling saying I'm nothing. Break away into pieces till pieces gonna be coming.
I can feel your pain, it seems to touch your soul. So let it go. It's valuable.
Learning lessons and hoping they become blessings. If he don't fall, then he falls in my community.
Welcome back, Chicago, to Chicago Speaks with Lori Elise on IntellectualRadio.com. Loving me some Intellectual Radio. I hope you're loving them too. So many different shows on here. Something for everybody. And so today, we're back and we're talking. I want to introduce this phenomenal brother. I've known him myself personally. I want to say about 10 years, maybe longer. Getting older. I'm getting older. He's still looking younger. Right. But I'm so excited. Elliot Hitchcock is just, renowned in his own right. A man of many talents. And, I'm actually just going to kind of read a little bit from his bio. He is the young, fresh face of financial management. He says that he used to be the coolest guy in the world. I still think he is the coolest guy in the world. One of them anyway. And he is quick to point out about his coolness in his financial workshops, but he's very well versed in the financial field. He got his starts in entertainment field and worked for Columbia Records in the Midwest and handled radio promotions. And I mean, this is incredible. This man was responsible for getting the word out about hit songs like Destiny's Child's Bootylicious and Jagged Edge, Let's Get Married. And, these are songs that, we know about, but it was his job, to get this out to the market. And, how phenomenal is that? And, he went on from there, and he worked at Universal and handled 28% of the urban market. He was responsible for promoting artists like Jay-Z, Ludacris, Ashanti, Lil Wayne. I mean, we got like a local, not local, we got a celebrity in our studio, and I'm just so excited, So I'm going to, let Elliot say a few words about what he's done and where he's been and where he's going and what drives him. But I'm so excited, Chicago, that we have Mr. Elliot Hitchcock, the professor of wealth.
Of wealth, yes.
The professor of wealth, yes.
Hey,
welcome.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you for inviting me to Intellectual Radio. This is my first time here, so I feel like an intellectual now. I have arrived.
You have arrived. Yes.
Absolutely. So, for me, let me tell you, start off by why I say I used to be the coolest guy.
Okay.
I used to be the coolest guy. And you read some of it in the bio there.
Yes.
Because I started out in the entertainment field. But what I discovered so long ago, I mean, it feels like it was like 3 lifetimes ago, but when being in entertainment, every time you want to do something, you have to be validated by somebody else. So it's a very hollow experience. If I wanted to have an event, somebody else had to think it was a good idea. I had to get a sponsor. I had to run it past somebody, whether it be with a record company, a liquor label, or whoever. It's never can just be me doing what I think is a good idea and go out and make it happen. If I wanted to go on radio, I've done some radio too. So it's always somebody that has to approve what you think and essentially who you are. Even when you're meeting people, they appraise you as, okay, who you with? Who you know?
Yeah.
How do I validate you? And should I be close to you? So was it Drake got that song called Fake People Showing Fake Love straight into my face? So I know about that. So after a while, that just wasn't enough, and what I found was that every time I wanted to do something, I was going to somebody that had money that could write the check.
Yeah.
So what I did was say, let me take a closer look at this finance thing.
Yeah.
And 3 licenses later, I'm sitting here on Intellectual Radio, ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
That's
I'm
right.
Microphone, so I'm starting to look at you. No, but another part of that is.
So what are your licenses? Let's talk about that.
Okay, so I have AFC, which is a accredited finance counselor. I am a certified finance education instructor. I have license to do insurance and annuities, and in a couple different states. And then I'm also certified finance professional speaker.
Wow.
So
wow.
It just kind of all does, and I forget them sometimes. So you see all these letters behind my name when I send out stuff, and it's like, wow. I don't know, but I did good this time. So.
Yeah, we got it all down.
So sometimes I don't pass that test when it's so what I'm like, I got ABC, Met BBD.
But you're here.
But we're here.
But you're here. Yeah. And I would hear you tell me stories about kind of going into different cities talking about financial literacy. I remember I want to say that maybe a couple of years ago when you went to, I'm going to butcher the name, Sweetie Pies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
St. Louis.
St. Louis, yes.
And I did so many things that just popped in my head when I went down there. Because the thing about St. Louis is what I discovered is there are vastly different ranges of gaps between finance in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like a lot like Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the mindset of people that are within the same space is just vastly different.
Okay.
The biggest part about, again, going back to why I said I used to be the coolest guy, because I wasted a lot of time trying to be around famous people or trying to, do things in entertainment. And that was time that I could have been spending to take care of some finance, put money in the right places.
Yeah. Yeah.
When people say time is money, it's not because, I need to be making money right now. It's because you have to invest money at this time.
Yes.
Because this time is going to leave and never come back. And so when this moment leaves and you didn't put money in a place that's going to get you X amount of percent, then tomorrow you have to put more money in this place that's going to get you X amount of percent to get the same result as you would have got if you'd have did it yesterday.
Yeah.
So think about what happens if you wait 10 years and do that, or 5 years and do that. I mean, with so many people, Lori, and they, say, okay, so I want to retire when I'm 50. And I'm okay, cool. What have you got so far? What have you started? And they, nothing.
And they're like 48, right? Like, I'm gonna get it together.
Right. They're like,
I'm 48. I'm gonna get it together.
Exactly.
I got 50 cents on tomorrow.
Yeah. And it just simply does not work like that. Like, you don't just go to a currency exchange and give them $100 and they give you back 100,000.
Yeah,
that's not
doesn't work that way.
You have to do some pre-planning. So, and the coolest thing about it, when you play with money, the younger you are, and you do X amount of percentage, you stay on track with that. It doesn't have to be a lot.
Yeah.
So, for instance, you talked about your son DJ, who's a graduate of Urban Prep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got somebody that's in their 20s. They can do $100 a month, right?
Yeah.
Put that into an account that's doing about 7%. He can be a millionaire in his life just from playing with money.
That's right.
So he could, if he just does that, he doesn't have to worry so much about lining himself with the job that pays well, or the resume paper and impressing the person. Yeah. So
because they're investing in themselves. Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You really don't have the security that you think you have with a job and with retirement and things anyway.
Oh yeah, we're an employee at will state. That means we will let your butt go.
And
at will.
And when they let you go, you're starting over.
That's right.
So your job may give you life insurance, let's say, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You started working there 22. Some reason or another, they feel like, we want to let you go now. You're 38. If you get private life insurance, you're going to be paying more at 38 than you would have at 22.
Yeah.
You're starting over. This is the first time that a private place is seeing you, and you can't use what you had at your job.
Yeah.
But if you separated it from the beginning at 22 and had outside private life insurance, you paid that rate, it'd have been cheaper. And hopefully you'd have been smart enough to do something that accumulates some sort of cash benefit and things like that with it. So it's really just a matter of, it's a formula. It's time plus percentage equals success.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic formula. And, it's something that we all need to think about. I remember having a relative tell me the same thing. And she was like, listen, I was 20 years old. And she said, listen, you save this amount of money once a week. This way you pay yourself first.
Exactly.
Before you pay any bill.
Yeah.
You pay yourself first. She said, you'll be a millionaire by the time you're 40. And, this was like, are you this for real? Like, this can really happen. And we have to learn. We need advice that you're giving. We have to learn how to think outside the box. We have to remember we're not going to be here forever. And who wants to be, I have never seen more angry looking people than those who are out at 7 o'clock in the morning with their rollaway bag on the way to their job. And and especially if they're like in their late 40s or mid 50s, they're thinking, man, they got me. They sold me this dream. I'm upside down in my house and my car.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been sold this dream, and now I'm a slave to the system. I gotta bring my tired self on to work because I didn't think it through.
Mm-hmm.
And who wants to do that? I think it's lovely. I mean, it was love back in the day. Everybody was like retiring around 50. Now people retire around 65. But I know a lot of people who are like, I'm heading to Vegas. I'm heading to Florida. Right around 50, they're like, listen, it's a little cold in Chicago. My bones are hurting.
And they were able to do it.
And they were able to do it because, they probably had someone like you in their corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have a different world today than we had, with the baby boomers.
Yeah.
I mean, we did have a better economy. We took care of our economy a lot better. And, like you said, another thing that catches people up that they have to get up in the morning and go is their 401k failed them. And I know it's going to make a lot of people mad. I don't know if we can really go into that segment today, but we can talk about the 401k in later.
You talk
But
me through this, the whole profit sharing, all of that. Go ahead.
Yeah. The 401k has failed us here in America, and a lot of people and a lot of companies. If you notice, they switched it over from having a pension to going to a 401k.
Yeah.
Because it's more beneficial to the company and everything. And so, a couple of things you want to do. You want to definitely start early. You want to protect yourself by having your own resources and finances in place. Line yourself up with someone that's in the field that has an unbiased opinion and that can help you and guide you through this things. Even if you do have a 401k, because they say, oh well, it was up to you to pick, the stocks and things that you go for. I feel like I might be jumping ahead because people don't realize that your 401k is in the stock market.
Yeah.
That's how we grow money.
Right.
You put your money in there, and you have to worry about performance. You have to worry about taxes. You have to worry about inflation. And either one of those stools don't hold up, and the tower is gonna fall. It's gonna tip over, and you're gonna still be going to work. So
that's right. So it sounds like we have to diversify. We have to think it through.
Definitely have to diversify. And there's just better vehicles out there that you just can do that instead. Basically, so it's really just about being informed.
Yeah, and that's what we want to do. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm looking forward to you coming on, doing your regular segments, talking about financial literacy, how we can make a difference.
I don't know. You didn't tell me it was going to be a camera.
It's okay.
I may call in
Don't
sick
even
when
look at the camera. I'm like, oh God, I can't focus.
Can I get like a fashion sponsor or something?
Right.
I need like a shaving sponsor, a fashion sponsor.
No, you're doing all right. You're doing all right. Listen, Chicago, this is Chicago Speaks with Lori Elise. We are highlighting today Elliot Hitchcock. I'm so glad you were able to come by, just spit some knowledge, tell us more about what we need to do, what we can do, how we should do it so that we can live a comfortable existence, in our retirement and now.
Yeah.
And right now. So I'm so grateful you came by. And we're going to come back with a little bit more from Chicago Speaks with Lori Elise on IntellectualRadio.com.
Say why you do this to me. I'm growing older and realizing what life is doing. I came from the dirt, I'm straight off the boat. A new style, some new chains so I can boast. A new whip to make sure I move right. Mama, I made it, I swear that your boy gon' be tight. And we might face some problems growing up where I'm from. The 216, get right and saying, who want this? She from the sun, I'm from the land with the dirt and the rust in the tub. Wanting to flashy things with CEOs ain't giving no love. Let me be chill. Skin the color of the savior, going through his adversity. Slash, that's lies, crucifixion is hurting me. Bring out the worst in me, not so easy today. Growing up like I am, you learn from your pains.
Hey, Chicago, you're listening to Chicago Speaks with Lori Elise on IntellectualRadio.com. Had a wonderful segment with Elliot Hitchcock. He's our boss business spotlight today. And I'm just so happy about that. We're going to learn more and more as he comes on and, talks to us more about how can we be better prepared for the future? How can we be able to enjoy our present? What can we do with our finances? Whether it's investing, whether it's savings, we really want to be informed about that. And, just a side note that I didn't get a chance to mention while Elliot was here, I think about the 60s. I was starting to do some research before I started this morning. And was really just kind of looking at into the 60s, where it was like Black Renaissance Chicago, where we really took care of ourselves. We had our own dry cleaners. We had our own shoe repair. We had our own banks. We had our own grocery stores. And we were self-sufficient. And I'm looking forward to that. I see that coming. I did some research on Seaway Bank, and Seaway has been in the neighborhood forever, in Chicago. And I don't know the current status, but I know that they have a satellite or another location that a family from Ghana came in and kind of rescued and brought, and they're breathing back life into that particular bank. And I'm just so grateful for that, because we hear things, in Chicago, we can't work together. We can't stick together. Other nationalities, they stick together, but, Black people can't stick together. Yes, they can. Yes, we can. We can stick. Wait. That's Obama, right? Right. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. I'm surprised that hasn't been stolen by Trump, but that's okay. We know we can. We're here and we can. And so that kind of is our segue, honestly, into our national news. We're going to talk about national news with local views. So I'm looking forward to you, Chicago. I'm looking forward to you calling in. Tell me your views. I got a million. I had a play that ran here in Chicago called Going Postal, and all I talked about, it was all the angst that I had inside of me that I put into some characters, just wanting to express all this angst. So I know that you've got some angst inside of you, things that you want to talk about. Maybe it's your brother, your sister, your cousin, your friend, who's had to deal with some of the challenges in Chicago. So while we're able this morning to highlight Chance the Rapper and something phenomenal and something spectacular that's happening here in Chicago, we also have to recognize that there are some challenges, that our young people are being shot dead daily. There's a young man, and his name's Laquan, and it breaks my heart. He was 14 years old, shot and killed yesterday. I remember when we would hear about this every now and again about a shooting in Chicago, but now it's every day. It's numerous shootings throughout the day. And Chicago, it's not even, 50 degrees today? Maybe 60 degrees? It's not that warm. What happens when it's 80? Everybody's outside. So it's a concern that I have. It's a concern that's on my heart. But again, here at IntellectualRadio.com, here at Chicago Speaks with Lori Lees, we're looking for solution-oriented people. What can you add, to what's going on here? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but we're going to bring in some national news. So I know you've heard about the GOP, the Republicans. They were trying to shoot down Obamacare. And I love that, even though it's the Affordable Care Act, I love that it's got the nickname, and it's really just, that's all people call it. It's Obamacare, right? It's going to go down as Obamacare. And it felt really good to hear Mr. Ryan say, well, for today and for now, it remains the law of the land. You know why it remains the law of the land? Because they didn't have anything else to offer. They just didn't. If you had, you heard Donald Trump talking about, we're going to repeal and replace Obamacare, and it's just a disaster. Well, what is a disaster exactly? We've got Americans who didn't have health insurance before who now have health insurance. You got people complaining, well, my rates are a little bit higher now than they were before there was Obamacare. Okay, they might be a little bit higher. That might be a little bit frustrating, but you got to remember, again, we are Illinois, an employee at will state. That means they will let your hiney go. They can let you go at will, not with reason. You could be doing a fantastic job and you can still be let go. And when you are let go, what health insurance will be there for you? There's so many people who admittedly voted for Trump and were on the Affordable Care Act. This is how they were getting insurance. I hate when I miss the obvious. It bothers me when I miss the obvious. I think they miss the obvious. It's kind of like, you want to say to, your brother from another mother, hey, dude, you don't have health insurance. Or, hey, you had health insurance, but now you're part of the reason why we may not have it in the future. So we got to really, really think about it. So I thought, I really just wanted to take a trip down memory lane. It just was not so long ago, maybe just a few months ago, that President Obama was still in office. And I've heard Rachel Maddow, I think I'm saying her name right, I'm not sure, talk about President Obama's accomplishments. But, I just felt the need to talk a little bit about, there's like a list, top 50 accomplishments by President Obama. So I'm not going to name them all, but I want to talk about a few of them. Let's start off with the fact that he inherited from the Republicans a jacked up economy. So, that is huge. That is huge. So the number one thing that's listed that I started off talking about President Obama is that he passed healthcare reform. So the fact that, and the number two thing that's listed is how he rescued the economy. So the fact that you were able to even accomplish anything while bailing out banks, while, making sure Americans could have jobs again, while really speaking to unemployment and figuring out ways to help create jobs again, through passing what's number three, passing Wall Street reform. Here's another thing: negotiated a deal to block a nuclear Iran, secure U.S. commitment to a global agreement on climate change. And here's something that really should not, go unnoticed. We did have this guy, Osama bin Laden. I'm sure you all remember him. So there was a decisive strike against those who were trying to take our freedoms away. And so, that should be mentioned. There were torture policies that were in place that he had reversed, and, normalized relations with Cuba. Who's going to Cuba? I don't know. Maybe me, maybe you. Perhaps we can, because now we can't. There's so many different things that, President Obama did for our economy. And so I'm super proud. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely critics out there. Nobody's perfect. There's critics that say, well, he did enough for everybody, but what did he do enough for Black people? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But let me tell you, this is a scandal-free president. Can you step to the mic and be scandal-free? I don't know. I don't know that many people who can step to the mic and be 100% scandal-free. And let me tell you, if there was something of substance, in 8 years, they would have found it. In 8 years, they would have, they were chomping at the bit, to find something. But this man, raised the bar. And I'm only talking about the man. I'm not talking about the woman next to the man, who just, exuded elegance and grace. I'm so proud of her. I had the opportunity not to really meet her, but be in the same room with her, like just steps away. And I was just amazed. She was here in Chicago some years ago, in the beginning of the first few years of being in office, of President Obama being in office. And she came to visit a Black-run urban garden. And this grower was going to participate in contracts with local grocery stores. And I just thought, I got to be there. I got to be a part of that. I look at her and I think, so much is possible because of this beautiful, fabulously elegant, articulate Black woman. And that goes without saying. That really goes without saying. And so now let's just talk a little bit about the first 100 days of President Trump. Now, if I come off biased, it's because I am. So let's just start there. And maybe you feel some different kind of way, Chicago. I hear young people say it makes me feel some kind of way. Yeah, well, this makes me feel some kind of way. I'm a little bit biased because some of the things that our new president, President Trump, that he's putting in place, it affects me and my community directly. I hear about him wanting to bring troops to Chicago. Okay, but are you bringing jobs first? Are you bringing social services that have been taken away? Are you bringing help for veterans? Are you bringing after-school programs that have been taken away that the community needs? What are you really bringing? Are you bringing jobs for our youth? Because we're going to need a little bit more of those things brought to us before we need any kind of troops. And maybe, just maybe, we won't need the troops if some of those social services come back again. I know someone personally who makes little, probably around $50,000 a year. It's not the best income. It's not the worst income, but it's a livable wage. And I know that it's challenging to meet childcare needs. I had no idea when my kids were younger, it was like maybe $100 a week for childcare. Now it's somewhere around $400 or $500 a week. I don't know how young people manage that. If I got a job that's paying me $12 an hour and I got to put $11.99 towards childcare, maybe I would choose not to work. And so there's so many different layers to this. It's not just, our young people are lost. Where's their opportunity? They're not all lost. We weren't all lost, but maybe we had the benefit of opportunity that our young people don't have. And maybe, just maybe, it's our responsibility to give back so that they can have opportunity. And we have to be like a chance. We can't wait on someone else to do it. If you're out of a job, my dad said, create a job. How many hustlers out there? And I'm not talking about illegal hustling. I'm talking about hustling. What do you know about somebody selling some t-shirts on a street corner? What do you know about somebody selling some water on a street corner? What do you know about somebody shoveling snow in the wintertime? You can get $20, $25 per house shoveling their snow. What do you know about raking some leaves? Don't tell me about the Latinos got that on lock. Not on your block. You can put it on lock. So there's legal ways for us to make money. Be that young entrepreneur. Be that strength, that person that chooses, not just chooses life, but chooses future. So it's so much to talk about. IntellectualRadio.com. We love you. We love you so much. We're going to come back again. Going to listen to a little bit more of Growing Pains, our song Growing Pains. This is Lori Elise with Chicago Speaks on IntellectualRadio.com. We'll be right back.
Say why you do this to me. I'm growing older and realizing what life is doing. I came from the dirt, I'm straight off the boat. A new style, some new chains so I can boast. A new whip to make sure I move right. Mama, I made it it, I swear that your boy gon' be tight. And we might face some problems growing up where I'm from. The 216, get right and say, yo, who want this? She from the sun, I'm from the land with a dirt and the rust in the tub. Wanting the flashy things with CEOs ain't giving no love. Let me be chill. Skin the color of the Savior, going through his adversity. Slash, that's liars, crucifixion is hurting me. Bring out the worst in me, not so easy to date.
Hey, you were listening to Unclassified Trio. Oh, I love those brothers. They have music. They have heart. They have growing pains, just like you and I. And I love that title, Growing Pains. And I think we're gonna hold on to that song a little bit longer. I think that might stick around. I'm really loving the feel of that. So, we're gonna end today, IntellectualRadio.com, Chicago Speaks. We're gonna end with some food for thought. And it's not even anything really major. It's nothing that we don't know within ourselves. But it's something that is present of mind for me, and I want it to be present of mind for you. Where there is fear, there is no faith. Where is your faith, Chicago? We're holding on. We're believing. We're believing in Chicago. We're believing in future. We're believing in people like Chance the Rapper. We're having structure given to us from our finances from Elliot Hitchcock. We're making a difference all over Chicago. Not just Black Chicago, but Chicago in general. I love you. I'm so grateful. I feel humbled and honored to be here. I look forward to next week with Ron Baker Jr. I'm looking forward to The Plug. I'm looking forward to your voices, Chicago. We need you to call in from wherever. And you don't have to be from Chicago. Call in from wherever you can. We love you. Chicago Speaks with Lori Elise, IntellectualRadio.com. Drop the mic.
Say why you do this to me. I'm growing older and realizing what life is doing. I came from the dirt, I'm straight off the boat. A new style, some new chains so I can boast. A new whip to make sure I move right. Mama, I made it, I swear that your boy gon' be tight. And we might face some problems growing up where I'm from. The 216, get right and say, yo, who want this? She from the sun, I'm from the land with a dirt and the rust in the tub. Wanting the flashy things with CEOs ain't giving no love. Let me be chill. Skin the color of the Savior, going through his adversity. Slash, that's liars, crucifixion is hurting me. Bring out the worst in me, not so easy to date. Growing up like I am, you learn from your pains. Yeah. Pain is a form of art, and I'm using my art to write this.